just read why Oza left Ubulu. This is page 77 of the book, The Story of Ubulu Kingdom. It says, oral history has it that Prince Oza committed crime that amounted to Iyaja, which meant an abomination, punishable by death or banishment from the land for 7 years. Oza, though a member of Okwe Yese, like I told you that he was Odogwu, Odogwu is a member of Okwe Yese, had, according to Princess Henrietta Adogwa Shijibono Nobanwa, in quote, decided, like some other chiefs, not to engage in war against the Benin people because of Ubulu ancestral roots and the covenant between Ubulu and Benin and some domestic decisions. His stand on the war was revealed by one of his wives to her family, Umuobi, royal family. Thus, Oza was accused of insubordination to the throne and called a traitor. That was also punishable by death. Oza, as a great warrior, felt betrayed and in anger cut his pregnant wife down. The community heard this and termed it double murder. Another elder, Omogolo, claimed that, in quote, for this reason, a conspiracy to kill Oza was hatched by Umuobi, his in-laws, with the help of the Idoloma, that's the executioners. But despite his crime against the land, the plan was revealed to Oza. He left Ubulu that night, traveling towards Ishagu. This was during the Ubulu-Benin War. On arrival, Oza sent a message to his trusted friends, informing them of his safe arrival to Ishagu. A few days later, the king, who also loved Oza, sent word to Oza to move on across the river, as he would be located and he would not be responsible for his death. Oza left Ishagu, moved towards the river Niger into Atani, finally to the present place of Ozubulu. It is believed that the killing of his pregnant wife was what took Oza out of Ubulu-Uku to return only after 7 years, but he moved on, and today we have Ozubulu. Oza did not return. Like I told you that when people are banished for a certain crime and they move on, they hardly ever return.
If we are to use present terms on the language, I would say that I am from Delta State. But using today's terms and language, I would say that I'm from Anambra. Meanwhile, I'll give you a little snippet of the story. My community, my townspeople, or some of them, pride ourselves on being OZ City. Our ancestors lived in Ubulu-Uku. Then we crossed the Niger, probably due to pressure from Benin. And today, part of our community lies between Owerri and Onitsha in what you call Anambra State. The story is simple. I repeat what I say, the story is a very straightforward and simple story. We were living in the place you would call Igbo Delta today. That's where we were living. We have not forgotten our history. When our people were much more serious about Omenana, that's the title of our religion and culture, during the New Year festival, we will take some offerings to our brothers and sisters that remained in Delta. So, I urge our brothers and sisters that remained in Delta got influenced much more by Benin, or got influenced by Benin more than the others that left, to recognize that Benin was an empire, and inside Benin lived a lot of people. Benin was like the British Empire. Nigerians, all the ethnicities in Nigeria, were part of that empire. Would they now begin to say that they were ethnically Britons? If you find yourself in Delta, but your language, you can forget about whoever says Bia. Bia is just a term. I'm talking of language. When I was a young man, one of our tenants was from Kwale. I'm talking about when I was really young. One of our tenants was from Kwale. I don't know if it is Kwale's name if it was Kwale that has been transformed to Kwani. But then, we did not think that he was not Igbo, and he did not think that he was not Igbo. And we did not think that we were different people. And we did not need translators or interpreters to understand each other's tongues. But as I said, I'm a historian. I fully understand what's going on. The Igbo people, for much of their history that they recall, have faced defeats, humiliations. So, those that could deny that identity want to deny it. Moreover, due to consistent persecution, a lot of Igbos have turned against the Igbo nation, making the Igbo people to lag behind, making the Igbo people to underperform. So, if you can get the goods from the more dominant and stronger ethnic groups in Nigeria, why wouldn't you deny you are able? If you get a bank license, if you get permission to build a university, if you'll be welcomed into circles that Igbos ordinarily will not be welcomed, and you are able, and you can deny that you are able, I think it's, I won't use the term natural, I think it happens that people want the easier way out. When our sister, the songstress that died a few months ago, said she was sure that if she was not Igbo, if she was Yoruba, or Hausa or Fulani, that she would have been patronized more by the Nigerian state and by.
Just like I cited in the example, Oza did not return. Oza had moved to Ubulu from the Benin area. The Igbo-speaking people towards Benin was where he lived before he moved down to Ubulu and lived among Ubulu people and married a wife from the royal family. When war broke out between Oba and the people of Ubulu, Oza refused to fight. As the Odogwu of the community, he refused to fight the Benin soldiers. This plan was revealed to the royalty, to the throne, by the wife, and Oza in anger killed the wife. It was the death of Oza's wife that led to these punishments that were declared against him, that eventually made him to move out of Ubulu towards Ishagu and then subsequently through Atani, because there's a river in Ishagu that connects you to the river Niger. A lot of people don't know that. So this is pretty much it, that there are Igbo speaking people, proto-Igbo speaking people Proto-Igbo speaking people all around these areas that I mentioned towards Anidu. Because what you call Benin today is what we typically call Anidu. Yes, Anidu was a place where you have Proto-Igbo speaking people in good number until a certain Prince Oromiya came. There was outbreak of war because he needed to institute the monarchy that they have in the Oyo area, Oyo Empire. And then so when he instituted this monarchy, there was resistance against it. That led to the first Ayidu N'Oba. Ndị Anidu resisted the Oba. That is the Ayidu N'Oba. Those who stayed, but those who could not stay moved away. That led to a wave of migration of Igbo people. There was also a wave of migration that led Eze Chima and all the Umu Chima and every other associate of Chima, anybody that is related to Chima, because when Chima left, everybody that is related to him moved with him. That led to the formation of all the people you can call Umu Chima, Umu Eze Chima in Western and Eastern Igbo land, because there are some of them in Eastern Igbo land today. And they are the ones you will see some of them say they are not Igbo. And I will laugh. You cannot be a descendant of Eze Chima and you say you are not Igbo. You cannot be a descendant of Akalaka and you say you are not Igbo. That's not possible. These people are Proto-Igbo speaking people in the former Anidu who moved out of Anidu. My own ancestor, Ezemu, has 4 brothers. The eldest one, he's even the last born. The eldest one was Obodo, Ezenalia, Ekelie, Anega, and Ezemu. All 5 of them bore Igbo names because our ancestors were very wise. So we are still discussing the settlements of Igbo-speaking people in Nigeria. And we have established that there are Igbo-speaking people in Ife. And of course, that is where these 5 brothers that I mentioned migrated from. Due to either banishment or war. If there is a banishment or if there is an abomination or taboo committed by someone from a particular lineage, for instance, in places like Ubulu Kingdom, that person who committed the crime, let's take for instance murder. If somebody commits murder, onye gbuo ọchụ, nye ndị waji akwụ ọchụ eshike, onye gbuo ọchụ, ebu abazuo ezu, ba kpebie na nye dị nọ ka ome, na wa asụpụ kọba achụpụ oyo na ebe oni, agba achụpụ oyo mgbe ashọ asaa. Onye wachụpụ mgbe ashọ asaa si obodo ọzọ, olu obodo ọzọ onye ọpụ obi, obodo onye eme ọhụma, ọ ma chọka ọnụ asheshi. Mgbe ashọ asaa nwa ọgazia, ọnụ asheshi gede anụ asheshi, gbana akụ ashi. There will be discrimination against him or her when he or she comes back. So, if this person is banished for 7 years, most times they fail to return. So some of the communities you will see around Enuane are products of secondary migration. That is, a people who have migrated already and settled, a group among them leaves to found another settlement. That is why you will find Ubulu people in different places like Ogwashi. You will find them in Ubulu-Uku. You will find Ubulu people in Asaba. You find Ubulu people in Ibuzo. You find them owning small pockets of settlement. And as much as Ubulu people in Onitsha, Ubulu people in Ubulu-Ihejiofo, Ubulu people in Oku-Uvuru, in Ozubulu, and so many other places. The case of Ozubulu is very striking. One day I will dedicate time to narrate what led to the migration of Oza away from Ubulu. His name was Oza of Ubulu, Wakwa Ozubulu. Oza Boyi Dumu Odogu in Ubulu. He was an Odogu in Ubulu. That is why in my previous live video, I took out time to narrate to people who do not understand that Odogwu is an Igbo title. Odogwu is an Igbo title. For those who started the controversy of comparing Odogwu with Idigwu and all those, and said it's Yoruba or Igala or Benin, I just laugh at them, because it's not just Odogwu that is in that category. We have more than 5 titles that bear that same rank of category. We have Odogwu, Onowu, Ojogwu, Umogwu, and Ojigwu. All of them are Igbo titles with different meanings in Igbo language. Let me just run over them so that in case I don't have time to say them later. Onowu is Onowu. Onowu is a prime minister. He's chief of defense staff of a community. He's the one in charge of battle. Onowu is either ni the madon to be a known, Onowu, Onende madon, that is Onowu. Ojogwu is Ojogweri. Ojogwu. These people called Ojogwu, usually in all Enu and the communities, are the weapon makers. They are the metal workers who make weapons of war. They are usually under the class of chiefs known as Okwe Iyese, war chiefs. Okwe Iyese are Okwa Onowu, so that you don't mistake it. Iyese may be a Benin borrowed word, but every Iyese in Enuani is greeted Onowu, so the Iyese title holder is called Prime Minister or Onowu. So every person greeted Ojogwu. The people who hold the title of Ojogwu are Umuikem. They are the weapon makers. So they are under this class of chiefs called Ojogweri, Ojogwu. Ojigwu, the people who move in groups, Ojenigwe. They are the ones they call Ojigwu. And then I called Umogwu. Umogwu is a heir apparent. There are so many of them. So all this class of titles that I mentioned are all Igbo titles. Let me read the comment of my brother. An Igbo father makes one Igbo blood. Okay, I've read that before. I have a roommate here. He's from Borno State. His father also married a Chibok woman. He is Mado Joel Yaya. He is in effect Igbo. Wow. Okay, so we are discussing the migrations of Igbo people. The migrations of Igbo people. Primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, among this group that I discussed, that they migrated out of secondary migration, maybe there's a crisis in the community where they lived in, maybe they were banished, maybe something happened that led them to move away from where they had settled. Something again can happen there, and one of its members decide to also move. When Oza left Ubulu-Uku, because Oza left from Ubulu-Uku, when Oza left Ubulu-Uku, he first settled in Ubulu-Okiti, a place known today as Ubulu-Okiti, very close to Ubulu-Uku. In fact, they were a dukedom of Ubulu-Uku until recently when they became autonomous and started having their own kings. Oza ebie Ubulu-Uku, Obanwo Nyemeni. I will take time to analyze Nyemeni Oza ji pụọ n'Ubulu-Uku, but it was a punishment, not a willful migration. It was a choice for him to make. That it is either you atone for the crime you have committed, or you go in for it, or you travel out. So he was banished. He left and stayed in Ubulu-Okiti for a while before proceeding to across the river Niger. Now, when Oza proceeded across the river Niger, his descendants